As is the case with most election campaigns, the leaders spent the last day in this mad final scramble for votes, and there were quite a few votes still up for grabs in this election. The undecided factor is very large and potentially problematic in terms of coming up with a firm result tomorrow. So we'll have the Liberal Premier Peter Gutwein, the Labor leader Rebecca White and Greens leader Cassie O'Connor campaigning here in Hobart, campaigning elsewhere in Tasmania, making their final pitches. On News Breakfast this morning, we caught up with both Cassie O'Connor and Rebecca White. We spoke to Peter Gutwein on yesterday's show. Rebecca White told me about her priorities in this final day and her priorities if Labor was to win majority government.
I think I have demonstrated that I have got the determination and the leadership to run the party. Those issues are things that were a distraction at the start of the campaign, but the feedback I've had from the community is that they just want us to get on and do the job. They want us to be talking about the issues they care about, and that's what we have focused very much on. And it is about health, it is about housing, it is about employment. That's my commitment to the people of Tasmania, is that I'm going to focus on what matters to them, and I've demonstrated that through this campaign.
Rebecca White on Breakfast this morning. I also spoke to Cassie O'Connor, the Greens leader. Not surprisingly, environmental issues very much front and centre for her party, but she has been also campaigning very heavily on the housing crisis, and there's no better way of describing it here in Hobart. Billion-dollar houses, the housing market is red hot, but the underside of that, the deep underbelly, is a growing homelessness issue. Cassie O'Connor also campaigning very heavily on health issues. Here's what she told us.
We've run a really strong campaign on building back greener and fairer from COVID, making sure Tasmania's a climate leader globally, and also making sure we don't leave anyone behind, because what we learned during COVID is that it is possible to look after people and make sure no one's left behind, but those days seem a fair while ago now.
Michael, you've been there for a couple of days now. How are voters feeling about the election there?
Voters are welcoming the opportunity to have their say. You speak to some voters and they say, gee, Peter Gutwein, the Premier's done a great job in protecting the state from coronavirus. Let's not forget, Tasmania was the first state to close its borders when the pandemic got really serious in March last year. There are a couple of private sector economic surveys that have shown the Tasmanian economy is doing really well, so that's something else in the government's favour. On the other hand, we have these deep and nagging issues, a growing number of people waiting for elective surgery, that homelessness issue, lots of concern about education, residual concern about the impact, the devastating impact of gambling, in particular poker machines, on this state. And that might see neither side getting a majority. The Greens might pick up a seat, but there is a slew of very high-profile independent candidates running tomorrow night, Ros, and it'd be fascinating to see how they go. They might benefit from some disaffection voters feel with both of the major parties.